Hey, Allie,
Hey, Mom.
you want to hear a joke?
What joke?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The interrupting cow.
The interrupting
Moo! The old interrupting cow joke is a classic. Now, I could have told you that there was this cow who goes around knocking on doors, and when people answer, he interrupts them by yelling moo loudly. But I don't think that would have been nearly as funny as having the character, the cow, actually interrupt Allison during the joke. The difference is narration versus dialogue. And today in your grammar lesson, we're going to look at the 4 rules that we need to keep in mind when we are writing dialogue in our stories. There are 4 basic dialogue rules that students should keep in mind when inserting speech in their stories. The first one is to put quotation marks around the speaker's exact words. Rule 2 is to capitalize the first word of dialogue. Rule 3 is to place a punctuation mark, be it a comma, period, question mark, or exclamation point, inside the closing quotation mark. And Rule 4 is to identify the speaker with a tag, such as said or asked. Let's practice this by looking at the book we are reading together. So let's look at this small selection from Clive Barker's The Thief of Always and see if he followed the 4 basic dialogue rules. Let's look here at the first sentence at the top of page 4. It says, "You shouldn't waste your time sitting up here," his mom said when she came in and found him watching the raindrops chase each other down the glass of his bedroom window. First of all, you must ask yourself, was someone speaking in this sentence? Why, yes, they were. And what was said were these words right here. You shouldn't waste your time sitting up here. Maybe you've heard your mom saying something similar to you. Rule number 1 was to put quotation marks around the speaker's exact words. Did Clive Barker do this? Yes, we see the quotation marks before the word you and after the word here. The second basic dialogue rule was to capitalize the first word of dialogue. Did Clive Barker do this? Yes. The Y in the word you is capitalized. Rule 3 was place a punctuation mark, be it a comma, period, question mark, or exclamation point, inside the closing quotation mark. Did Clive Barker do that? He did. Right here before the closing quotation mark, we see a comma. Finally, the 4th dialogue rule was to identify the speaker with a tag, such as said or asked. Do we see that in this sentence? Yes. Right here we see his mom said. We know exactly who is speaking. Now, would you take a moment to look at the following sentence and see if you notice the same 4 rules being followed? Feel free to pause the video now. All right, Rule 1, quotation marks around the speaking. It says, "I've got nothing better to do," Harvey said without looking around. Yes, the words were, "I've got nothing better to do." And here are the quotation marks. Was the first word of dialogue capitalized? It was. There's the letter I. Was the punctuation inside the closing quotation mark? Indeed, there was a comma after the word do, but before the closing quotation mark. Finally, was there a tag that told us who the speaker was? Yes, Harvey said. Today, and from this point forward, would you not only Notice how quotation marks are used in your reading, but would you practice adding them to your writing as well? If you're keeping a journal during this time at home, maybe you want to put in some exact quotes that you've heard other people say. That would be good practice during this time.